Hi, children. How are you tonight? This is Grandma Debbie, and we're here for a Pegasus story. And tonight, again, for the last night for a while, we have an audience. Desmond and Tia and Lynnlee are here, and they have requested a Pegasus story, and they really wanted to go back to Dragon Island. Well, let's see if they get to. I'm sure Pegasus will show up because when Grandma gets situated like this, he always shows up. So they were all snuggled in their bed and they were ready to go to sleep because they'd had a big day and they were very tired. So Grandma started in, she started talking, jabbering away, and they started to listen. And it took a long time. They were laying there for quite a while. It seemed like they'd already heard a story maybe. But it just seemed like Pegasus wasn't coming. And then, when they were least expecting it, there they were, sitting right on his back. And it was snowing outside. So it was like they were on his back and it was just snowing like crazy. But they were warm and snuggled up and their legs were warm, all cuddled around him and hanging on tight and hanging on to his mane and hanging on to each other. And it was just the three of them. And they could tell that he was a little bit somber tonight. He was pretty serious and they wondered, what's going on? What's going on tonight, Pegasus? And he says, well, we have a mission. We have something going on that's very, very important and we have to hurry and get there. We've been summoned. Oh. Summoned, huh? What does that mean? I said, well, we've been called. There's a mission, and we need to get to Dragon Island as quickly as we can. So hang on tight. Here we go. So across Ohio, West Virginia, North Carolina, on down they went across the beaches and out into the ocean. And then, after a little while, they began to see the big old mountain range on this big island that nobody else could see. Dragon Island. And he just went straight to the beach and dropped him off. Lowered his wing, and down they scampered. And they started walking. And, of course, it wasn't just but a few minutes, and the dragons showed up. Pegasus had stuck around for a few minutes, and as soon as the dragons got there, he said, you have been summoned. He said, we have a problem. He said, the older kids, Rachel and Zach and Luke and Demetra, were here. And they were here for dragon training school. They were here for dragon rider school. And they were learning how to do maneuvers in the air to fight together and in formation and different moves that they could do and different skills that the dragons have. Plus, they were learning to use their weapons so that if there was ever a war or sometime where they had to defend something, that they would begin to be ready. And this was just one of the practices. They would have to come again. And these younger kids, they weren't old enough for that yet. So they were wondering, why were they called in today? And just then they heard whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And around the side of the mountain came the emperor, the big golden double-headed dragon. And he came down with his mighty wings and he landed and he said, children, you've been summoned. I'm glad you're here. We have been looking for a whole herd of baby Pegasuses, and we can't find them. They're on the island, they've been on the island, and we don't know where they are. And they've been missing now for over a day, and we can't find them. So we need you. We didn't have enough with the older children, so we summoned you so we could cover the whole island, and we need you to help us find them. Oh, okay, they said, yeah. He said, so you guys work on that? And he said, I'll catch up with you. I'll check with you later. And he commanded Rachel to be in charge. So Rachel said, okay, we'll go in formation and we'll look over the whole island first. So they did. They went up in a V formation. They went down through the valley where the river was, up along the mountain sides and up under the peaks and across where the forests were, where it was dense and thick and where there was pasture and meadows and plains, and along the beaches. They went all the way around the island, which was a long way, and they just couldn't find anything. They couldn't find any signs of anything. And little Lynnlee, she got her little dragon, right? She's always at the tail end, but she keeps up. And sometimes they have to slow down or backtrack, and they find her, and she comes up again. So finally, Rachel said, this isn't working. We're going to have to split up. So she assigned some to go north, some to go south, some to go east, west, some to go over the river. And they sent Lynnlee along the river because they knew she could follow that river and not get lost and follow it back and come back to the beach and know where they were. So they went out, and they were gone for long time, searching and searching. And then what they did was they would go out, and about every hour or so they would all come back to the meadow and meet and report for what they had found. And they just came back with nothing, no clues. Well, finally, Lynnlee comes back, and she's just jabbering away, and she's going, pony, 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 pony. And they said, what? Pony, pony, oh, mountain pony. So they thought, okay, she must know something. So they followed her, and she headed up the river, just like she'd been assigned to do. And then when she got to a bend in the river, she started to go up, and there was a plateau. Well, they got to looking, and there was like foothills coming up out of this river where it's possible that you could climb up. And she went up there and she landed on a ledge. They wondered, what is she doing? And she's waving at them, and the dragon's saying, come on up here. They come up, and there is an opening. It's like a cave. And they can see that they can see the tracks of the little ponies and some of their droppings. So it's like, okay, we know that they're here. I wonder why they came up here. Well, whatever. But the problem was the opening was so small that nobody could get in except little Lynnlee and her little dragon. So in she went, and the others, one of them stood at the door and blew fire out his breath to light it up. And she went on in, and she looked around, and she was following the tracks, and she got part way in, and she looked up, and in the distance was another light. So she made her way over to that light, and lo and behold, it was a larger opening to this great cavernous place. And so she went back, and she said, she made them understand that on the other side of the mountain, in the forest, so they had to go in and hunt for it, was a large opening that the bigger dragons could get in. So around they went, and yes, they could get in. They found it through the trees and made their way in and came in. They met Lynnlee. Lynnlee was beginning then to track the ponies and follow their trail with the droppings and the hoof prints in some of the dust. This cave was so big. There were stalagmites and stalactites bigger than a big old basketball gym, and even bigger than that in places, but other places it would get smaller and skinnier. And they made their way through, and there was high ledges, and they had to climb, and they had to climb down and make their way, and there was water. There was actually a lake and a river inside the mountain, for real. And they were in there for quite a while following this trail, and the little ponies, there was a light that came in every once in a while from way up top. There was a crack in the earth's surface, and it would shoot a light down. So the ponies must have had just enough light to get lost and not know how to get back where they were going. So they kept going on, and pretty soon Lynnlee was in the lead. And when she got up there, she started to hear a little whinnying and like almost little ponies crying. And she looked down, and below the ledge, down by the river where there was hardly any room at all, was this whole herd of ponies, little ponies. And Lynnlee flew down because she was the little one. She could get down there. And she reassured them, and they loved on her, and she loved on them and made sure they knew they were okay. In the meantime, the big dragons were up top, and they were making plans on how they were going to go down. And they had to go one at a time because there wasn't enough room, and they had to come in along the river, and they had to go down, and they picked one up, brought them up on the ledge, and then found a way to walk and to fly and to crawl and to get them back out. And once in a while they had to breathe fire so they see where they were going. But often there was this stream of light, a beam of light coming in from the earth's cracked surface every once in a while. And they had to work. It was over an hour before they could get out of there or more. And they worked. They kept on going. And every single one of them, they got every single pony out. And Lynnlee came out. Now, she wasn't big enough to carry a pony. So she just had to kind of follow and bring them on out. Well, they got out, and they got to the river, and they each picked up their pony, and they flew down the river, above it, of course, and followed the path of the river over and around and up and down and over the rapids and down the waterfalls and down to the beach. And they're down at the beach, and all the ponies are together. There's a large meadow, and they're all down there, and they're just all so delighted, and they're talking to the dragons and to the children, and they're so excited that they've been rescued. And they hear, whoosh, 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 and they all know by now what that is. So they all wait, and over the mountain comes the huge wings of the emperor dragon, big golden dragon with 2 heads, and he lands with this great rush of the wind, lands on his feet, wings wide out, and brings them down. And all of them kind of just line up and drop their heads in respect. And the ponies too, they just kind of kneel down. And he stops and he says, "Fine job. I'm here to tell you, you did a great job in rescuing and finding these ponies, and they're all safe." But he said, "One among you is greatest today." He says, "Lynnlee, you come forward." And she did. And he reached down on the side of his wing and he pulled out this medal of honor on a lanyard, and he put it around her neck and another one around her dragon's neck, and he said, "You are the heroes. The smallest and the least of you have done the greatest deed today, and you have found the dragons, or the ponies, and you've brought them home, and I'm so proud of you. You're wonderful. You are a hero." And all the dragons made a mighty roar and blew fire in the air and breathed fire. And then they honored her, and she didn't know what to think, she's just a little girl. She was all excited. Well, and the emperor said, "Well done, servants. Well done. Until next time." And oof, away he was gone. And there was a mighty rush of wind as he left. And Lynnlee's still standing there. She's holding her medal, and the dragon's looking at the medal, and they're all excited. And here comes Pegasus. So back they come. And of course, the dragons, they had to say goodbye to their dragons, and the dragons headed off. They stood there. The dragons were staying in the meadow and on the beach so that they could say goodbye. Children ran up, got on Pegasus's back. They're all saying goodbye to the dragons, and Pegasus takes off, and he said, "Well done. You've done so well, and you have saved my nieces and nephews. I am eternally grateful. And Lynnlee, you are the hero. You're the one that found them. And of all the least of these, we just have to remember that the smallest of you can do great things. And I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful. Good job." And that is a beautiful medal you have around your neck. So the children got back, and Pegasus dropped them off, each one in their homes, and they're laying in their beds. Desmond reaches in his pocket. Guess what he pulls out? Little trinket. Pulls it out, comes to life. 2-headed emperor dragon. Yep, it's wiggling and got his wings. Takes it, puts it back in his pocket. Tia reaches in her pocket, and out comes a miniature, teeny tiny Pegasus with its wings, and it was shiny and silvery and pink and just had little tiny wings. It was the prettiest little thing she'd ever seen. Puts it back in her pocket. Lynnlee, she reaches in her pocket. You know what she pulled out? A pony. But the pony had her medal around its neck so that she could keep it forever. And she was so pleased. Good night, children. Until the next time.